Welcome to Podsdale, brought to you by the City of Scottsdale. Join us to explore the stories that make our city a world-class community.
Welcome back to Podsdale. I'm Greer, and today we're diving into something brand new in the city of Scottsdale, a department created specifically to make life easier for our residents.
That's right, Greer. I'm Gail, and the city has launched a new Constituent Services team designed to give people fast personal help when they're trying to navigate city programs, services, or issues. Think of it as your go-to guide when you're not quite sure where to start, who to call, all that good stuff.
And today we're joined by two people who helped bring this model to life. Will Brooks, assistant to the city manager, and Ross Heyl, the Constituent Services supervisor.
And they're here to walk us through how the new service works, why the city created it, and what residents can expect moving forward with this new service. It's called Constituent Services.
Will, Ross, welcome to Podsdale. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greer.
Before we get into it, can you tell us just a little bit how you guys fell into these roles at the city of Scottsdale and what your background looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Will Brooks. I'm the assistant to the city manager. I've been in Scottsdale about 2.5 years. Started as a management associate and then a senior management associate, and then got promoted to assistant to the city manager back in April. Came to Scottsdale after finishing my MPA degree in Georgia, but previously my background was in the arts. So this was a real switch for me, but it's been a fun challenge here in Scottsdale.
Very cool.
Yeah, and my name's Ross Heyl. Been with the city for about 13 years now. I've worked in numerous departments around the city and Parks and Rec, Human Services, most recently Citizen Service, and then was being given the unique opportunity to join the city manager's office as the Constituent Services supervisor in May. And it's been an absolute pleasure so far. I've really enjoyed working with Will and the team. We're excited to bring this new service model to the city of Scottsdale and really increase the level of service that we provide our residents. So.
You know, in my mind's eye, when I see that Constituent Services and what they do, I think, back in the day, I used to think, I wish I knew who to call at the city. Mm-hmm. And Constituent Services, is that what motivated the creation of Constituent Services, knowing who to call, what they do? Kind of tell me about the motivation to create the department.
Yeah, so really, as much as I like to take credit for all of the great work that this team is doing, this is really the brainchild of our city manager, Greg Caton. So when he became city manager this year, one of his big initiatives was to create this new team, the Constituent Services team, as a push to give better customer service to our residents. Our city does an incredible job in each department of working with residents, handling issues. But this is really kind of the next step, how to elevate customer service. We really are a world-class community, and this was just kind of another effort that we could take efforts and functions that we already have, such as Scottsdale Easy, our call center, our citizen liaison, but then really combine it together to be able to handle all these resident issues in one place.
So we've always handled resident issues when they come to us, but how does the resident service model differ from how Scottsdale handled requests before Constituent Services?
Yeah, so historically, before Constituent Services came around, when resident issues come in, whether it's through the call center, Scottsdale EZ, or just directly to the department or city council leadership, it would get directed over to the correct department, correct people. They would handle the case from there, and then they would get back with that resident and provide whatever information was applicable. That had worked for quite some time, but when Greg, our new city manager, Greg Caton, came in, his idea was to really increase that level of service, and not to say that there was anything wrong with the way that it was done historically, but with this new Constituent Services team, it really elevates the level of response, and it actually designates a team to handle these requests. And we like to use the analogy of a parking service. So we have our valet, which is like our constituent liaison, our constituent advisor. That's where we're really going to hold the hand of the resident and make sure that they're getting follow through, they're getting the questions answered. And then we have kind of like our attendant, which is more of our call center, that 3111 number. People can call in, they can talk to a live agent, we'll get them over to the correct department. And then we have kind of our self-park, which is the Scottsdale EZ. People can submit a work order online and get a response from there. So really the point of Constituent Services is to ensure that we're having that follow through. People are getting responses. Like I said, historically, it's not like there's anything wrong with it, but but things can fall through the cracks. And when there's issues that are involving multiple departments, sometimes one department may think that the other department is handling it, and communication can kind of get lost through the shuffle of just resident concerns. So the Constituent Services Department is handling these cases one by one, and we're ensuring that there's follow through and that people are getting their questions answered. And then we're kind of acting as the air traffic controller, if you will, between the residents and the city department. So we're kind of that middleman. We're ensuring that internal departments know what's happening, and then also the residents are getting that response and follow through.
It's kind of like a concierge service, when they call in. But you mentioned multiple departments that you guys cover. Is it all departments? Is it a one-stop shop? Or are there certain things that you guys specifically focus on?
We cover the entire city. Yeah. So part of the function of the city manager's office is that we support the entire city, all 2,800 employees and 22 departments. So we field resident questions and issues from all over. So we don't focus just on one. However, there's definitely trends in what we see as what's important to residents. And so definitely we see public safety issues, we see transportation issues, code enforcement. So those types of things tend to be, kind of at the top of our inbox because we see those a lot. So there's definitely departments that we work with the most, but the issues range from every single department, and we're always ready to handle, an issue, whether it's from police or fire or human services.
Yeah, and just in addition, every department kind of likes things handled differently. So that's been a big initiative of Will and myself to go around to all these departments and find out, how would you like us to route these concerns to you, and how would you like us to handle them? So it's really been a collaboration with a lot of our internal departments. But as Will mentioned, we really do work with every single department. We kind of are like a one-stop shop. If we don't know the answer, we're going to get questioned over to the correct department, and we'll make sure you get some follow-through.
Very cool. So if I'm a resident and I have an issue and I'm contacting you guys, what's the process from my request that I submit to resolution?
It depends. We have our Scottsdale Easy system. So if you're driving around Scottsdale and you see a pothole, you can just simply go to Scottsdale Easy and submit that request. You can also give us a call. We can submit it over the phone as well. If you just prefer talking to a live agent, that's always an option as well. We deal with all of these things, but where our team really comes in and we do that kind of like one-on-one service for our residents is when situations get escalated, whether that's through executive leadership, elected officials, those get routed over to us, and that's when we really have that one-on-one attention, and we kind of do that hand-holding with the resident and making sure that they're getting every single one of their questions answered. And so when we do get these questions coming in, either our liaison or our advisor will make contact immediately with that resident, let them know that we're actively looking into the situation, to the concern, and then we're going to be providing that accurate, timely follow-up with them. And then we also do, on a weekly basis, we like to take all the cases that we're working on, and we put together a report for our executive leadership, for our elected officials, city council, city manager, the mayor, so that they're aware of what's happening within the city, and they're kind of keeping their finger on the pulse as to what we're dealing with around the city. So,
this is a job that's going to require somebody who does more than just transfer calls. This is a job that's going to require somebody to have subject matter knowledge of where to route the call. So how do you guys staff the department, and how do you train them to have all that knowledge about who does what, where, and how?
That is a great question, and definitely one that I thought about because, back in March and April when our city manager was talking to me about this idea and having me lead this team, I thought a lot about what were the qualities that we need. And so we thought about people that were just excellent people essentially. And so working with residents who could handle issues and the pressure of just understanding, how to work with a resident who's not happy about a situation, and how to de-escalate situations, how to empathize with someone, and then also how to work with our staff, right? So in city manager's office, we can't do anything without our staff and our departments. And so having good working relationships. And so those are really critical things when we were thinking about staffing. And so Ross and our constituent liaison, Deanna, we brought them over from communications to come to the city manager's office. And so we really thought that they would be great staff members to have as part of this. We saw their work and saw how great they were, thought they would be great additions. But then we also hired for it as well, and so we found our constituent advisor through a previous process, and he's joined our team now. So really thinking about how to work best with residents, how to work best with our staff, and how to navigate all those different things, right? Because a lot of our work is we don't resolve the issues ourselves, but we work with the staff who do, and so those are really the qualities that we look for in our staff and in the city manager's office in general.
I will say it's very important that you are a good communicator in a role like this. For me personally, I had no idea that you guys handled like neighbor to neighbor disputes. I thought that was super interesting. Can you touch just a little bit more on what that entails?
Yeah, it varies. So we do have a mediation program that is up and running, and so that's always an option. So if somebody comes to us, they've exhausted multiple other avenues, and they're kind of at that point where these avenues haven't worked. We do have a free voluntary mediation program where people can come to us, and we work with a mediation company, and we can sit down with neighbors as long as they're willing to. We can sit down with them, and we can kind of discuss those issues and try to provide some type of resolution. We do try to resolve them before they get to mediation. Obviously, that's always an option, but if we can resolve it before it gets to that point, and we can, communicate with them and try to level with both residents and do everything we can to remedy the situation, we will. But we do have that voluntary free mediation program that is welcome to all residents. So
what metrics do you use to determine if constituent services is working? I mean, response times, all that good stuff. Give us the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I love numbers, so I think about numbers all the time. And so we've really been focused on trying to come up with numbers to say, hey, what is successful in this new endeavor? So I think one of the things that we look at is how long it takes to resolve issues. I mean, if you're a resident out there listening to this, I'm sure you've had a struggle with, this takes so long. Why is this taking so long? So really our goal is, how do we shorten that length of time between you emailing the city and us getting a resolution for you? So we work really super hard about making that happen, and we track that. So I want to say that it was taking a long time, over a month to resolve an issue back when we really started. And now we're down to about a week. That if you send an issue to Constituent Services and you have one of our liaisons or advisors on that case, it's going to take about a week for you to get a resolution. Whether that's information back to you, whether that's an update on your project, whether that's the pothole getting fixed, any of those things, that's really what we're at. So that's really a metric that I look at almost weekly on how fast are we resolving these issues.
And what's the feedback like from constituents so far?
We've gotten great feedback. I think that there's always a hesitation when you're working with resident issues. It's like, oh my goodness, everyone's just going to complain to me and yell at me. But I've been so amazingly surprised at how positive some of the feedback has been. And so that's been such a huge encouragement as we've been doing this and getting the feedback from residents. And really that's a testament to our staff that we have of the Constituent Services team. Ross, Deanna, Tyler, Katina, and the call center. I mean, they're all so incredible with residents that even if sometimes they can't give the answer that the resident is looking for, the resident still comes away saying, oh, wow, that was a really pleasant experience. I understand what's happening in the city now. And they come away with a better understanding of the issue. And to go back to your question about, what type of attributes we look for, I think that one of the things that's been really key to our success in the last couple months has been about clear and honest communication, because there's lots of things the city can't do, right? There's legal issues, there's operational issues, and so sometimes just having someone sit down in a meeting or talk to you over the phone about like, hey, this is what you're talking about, and here's how I explain it, and giving it to you in terms that you can understand. Because a lot of the issues that people bring to us are really complicated. That's been really a huge success, is like, let's just talk about it honestly, what the city can do, what the city can't do.
Okay. I think it's also really cool that now there's like this specific person that they're talking to that they can call back to. So they submit a request and they know that they talked to Ross. And so there's just that connection that I think is really important. And of course, Ross is an awesome person, so he's going to try and help you get everything that you need completed. I think that's just a really cool key to it, that creates an element of humanness to everything, which I think is really important, especially in a city our size.
Yeah, and going back to the historic question of how things were historically handled, again, not that that process didn't work, but now that they have a point person and a coordinator who's going to be working with them, they know that person, you develop a relationship with them.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to deliver some of that news too, because a lot of what we do, of course, we're going to try to fix the issue, but a lot of what we do is education too. It's just letting people know, okay, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do, here is what's guiding our decision here. And in the past, they may not have gotten that. And also to be fair, like a lot of our subject matter experts, they're so phenomenal in what they do, but their forte may not be communication.
Right.
You know what I mean? That customer service aspect, all of our employees do a great job of customer service. They do what they can, but that's what we're here for. That's what we're meant to do. So to have that avenue to go as a resident has been really helpful. And people always ask me, internal employees, oh, I'm sure you just hear complaints all day. And, we do get some of that, but we do get a lot of positive feedback. And it's one of the reasons why I love what I do is that people share, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I've been looking for this answer for months, or I've reached out to XYZ and I haven't heard back, and you're so prompt at responding. So that's really what kind of keeps me going and what makes this such a great endeavor. So,
and if I can add one more thing, you asked Gail about how do we measure the success? And this is not a metric that I measure, but one of the things that we're always trying to improve upon is our residents' trust with our city government. And I think that one of the things that I have seen, not just with myself, but with our whole staff, is that when we work with a resident, we build that trust, and they do come back to us because they do trust our answer. Had a resident, we worked with them on a streets issue and talked to them for a long time, and they called me the other day about a separate issue and wanted just to talk about it. And we just talked it through. They understood what I was talking about because we had built that trust. And so I think that that's also one of these success metrics. It's a little bit difficult to quantify, but that's definitely something that we love to see that trust built.
Now, this is a relatively new program. Do you have any statistics on resolution rates, or are you just like, anytime anybody calls, we try to give them some kind of resolution, even if it's not the answer that they want to get?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we say resolution, we're really meaning we've come to the end of what either the city can do or can't do, and we give that information back. So there's lots of times that people email in about, I want to see this happen. And sometimes it's just not possible, right? Even if the city wants to do it. And so when we say resolution, we really mean, hey, we looked into the issue, we talked with our staff, here's the answer, we put together all the information for you and got it back to you. That's a resolution. There's also a resolution where people email in about, they have a street issue and we send it to our transportation and infrastructure department and they fix it. And then we send it back to them like, hey, this is resolved. So, we are very honest when the city can and can't do something. So that's what we mean by resolution rate.
Okay.
So Constituent Services has been a department now for a few months. What challenges have you guys faced as a department? Is there been anything specific that's come your way?
No, everything is absolutely perfect.
No. Wow. It's like, how do we transfer to that department?
No, I think there's been a huge period of learning and growth. I mean, it's been really fun for me because we got to really start it from scratch.
Yeah.
So that's been really, really fun. And I have a great team, so it doesn't feel as hard as you would think it would be. I think the challenge is really building the structure around it and really building the process around it, because this is really a new function. We've had some of these separate individual functions, but not together and not in the city manager's office. And so I think one of the challenges is really, educating our community that we have this new function. So this is great that we're doing this podcast today. Hopefully people can get connected with us. And so really telling the community that this is available to them, that's kind of a challenge for us. Another challenge too is just like Ross said, each different department works really differently. Water is super different than fire. Fire is really different than transportation. And so understanding how they work and working best with them. I mean, I don't mean it in a challenge in a negative sense, but it's just different. And so figuring out those ways to work most effectively with our staff has been one of our challenges, and we work through. But what I will say is that I'm super thankful that staff have responded really positively to it, because it's also serving a purpose for our staff.
Sure.
Because sometimes it is frustrating to kind of pass a resident issue and you don't know who it goes to, and nobody knows who is communicating with them. And so really that clears all of that up. We offer a main point of contact. and kind of offer a person that, hey, kind of like lead this resident issue. And then staff can really focus on the things that they're paid to do every day, right? And so that's been one of the challenges, but also one of the things where I've seen a lot of growth and excitement around that area.
So we talked about it at the beginning, but tell us again, how can people get in touch with Constituent Services? It's more than just one phone call. They don't have to walk to the city manager's office and stand in line like we used to do when Abraham Lincoln was a president. You can just walk into the White House. We've upgraded since then. Tell us how people can reach out to you.
So there's 3 avenues. Like we mentioned, Scottsdale EZ, that's kind of our first function there. You can just submit a request and it's gonna get directed to the right department. There's also a questions tab on the scottsdaleaz.gov website where they can submit a question that will get sent directly to our team. So that's kind of one informal way. Also on the website, there's also like Ask a City Manager a question, or there's our homepage, which is under City Services, Get Help. Will come to our page and you can submit a question that'll get sent directly to us. You can always call in as well. Our team oversees the call center. So, you can call in to Katina or Tyler. One of us will be on the phones and you can ask to speak to us directly, or you can just talk to Katina and she can kind of jot down whatever questions or concerns you have. And then, of course, you can always reach us, which is kind of the preferred method, is through our Constituent Services at scottsdaleaz.gov email inbox. You can send an email through that channel, and that gets monitored by our entire team. So one of us will respond to you typically within 24 hours. Typically, it's much quicker than that. Usually it's in a couple hours, but I can guarantee within 24 to 48 hours, you will receive a response. And we'll just let you know that we've received the email and that we're actively working with the correct departments to resolve that concern. So there are a few different avenues, but for all those folks out there, if you just want to talk to us directly and email works the best, then that Constituent Services at scottsdaleaz.gov is probably the best avenue.
It sounds like you guys handle a wide variety of resident concerns. Is there like specific things that you see continually pop up, or what are some of the most common things that people call in about?
Yeah, it varies as the seasons and relevant, issues that pop up. I would say some of the biggest departments that we work with are code, PD, transportation is a huge one, and planning and development. We actually just had a presentation this morning. I think, 33,000 miles of roads that we...
Like 3,300.
3,300 miles of roads that the city of Scottsdale oversees. So, there's plenty of road projects that are happening. That's a big one. With planning, there's noise issues. Does this house have the correct permits?
Is it the right height?
Is it the right height? Yes, of course. And that's a lot of education.
Is it on the neighbor's fence line? That's a whole nother issue.
Absolutely. Yeah. So code, my neighbor's got a lot of weeds in their yard and it hasn't been addressed and it's getting sent over to our team now. And then, just like I said, relevant things that come up maybe at city council meetings are just relevant in that moment in time. So we do have our common concerns, but it changes day to day. We really do get a wide variety of questions, but we do have, like I said, a number that are common, and we have those responses and that information already gathered so that we can get those responses out pretty quick, and that service time is much faster than if we were constantly having to go back to the departments and figure those answers out. So we do try to take some of those processes in terms of gathering information, putting together a response, and having that on hand as residents reach out. So,
Constituent Services, it's a great service for the citizens of Scottsdale, and there's going to be times where somebody is dissatisfied. What happens to escalate something if somebody feels like they're not getting the attention or the services they think they should receive?
Yeah, it's a great question. We hope to satisfy everyone and hope to solve every problem. We know that's not always the case and not always possible. But what I will say is, one, when we receive cases, actually the majority of our cases now are coming straight from our departments, where they have a resident that they're not really getting the answer they want, and really want to talk with some of our executive leadership, and so they actually do escalate it to Constituent Services. So that's just one way that our staff can help escalate that to the city manager's office, and we take another look at it. And so the benefit of that is, when you have a staff review at the department level, and then actually the city manager's office takes another look at the issue. And so you have multiple sets of people looking at the resident's issue, and that can come up with new solutions and creative solutions that maybe haven't been thought of before. So that's a great way that issue can be escalated. Even the resident doesn't have to escalate it. Staff escalates it. But I will say for escalation, one of the things that we think about is, if it is escalating in the sense of they're not really happy with, you're not really happy with the answer that the city is giving you, we always want to loop in our executive leadership on that issue, right? So we really put together all the information we share with our assistant city manager, our city manager, and so that they're looped into those concerns as well. And so they have a say in how the city responds to it. And so what I would say as a reassuring to our residents about some of these issues is that your issue is being shown to our city leadership and to your elected officials every single week when you're working with our constituent services team. We want to keep them informed and on the updates of that. So it is getting escalated, and that's kind of the point of why we have this team, so to keep our city officials and elected and executive leadership informed on some of these issues.
And we really do try, like when issues come in, we really do, every single person on our team wants to resolve it. So if something comes in, we're going to try to do everything we can. I have plenty of examples of cases that have come in and, it's been shot down or, for whatever reason, it just hasn't made it to the correct channels. And so we really try to push these things forward and try to advocate on behalf of the residents and work with the proper channels and the proper teams and explore every avenue possible to have these issues resolved. It's one thing that sometimes people will reach out and they'll just say, the city doesn't want to help me here, or for whatever reason, and it comes to us and we really we'll look into this as much as we possibly can and try to resolve that situation for the resident, because at the end of the day, we want the residents walking away happy and satisfied with the service that they were provided. So,
looking forward into the future, what do you hope Scottsdale residents will gain most from the service model?
Yeah, I would say the fact of trust in the city, that there's going to be somebody that, advocates on behalf of them and provides them with the response, provides them with the answer, really lobbies on behalf of the resident, and walks away saying, the city of Scottsdale is one of the best cities in the country to live in. The level of service, customer service, the level of attentive to detail is one of the best in the country. And we really try to do that every day. Our mission statement, being a world-class community and providing that exceptional service for a world-class community, is really something that we live by, and we try to do that every day. And we just had our directional meeting kind of mid this year to discuss some of those things and talk about what do we want to provide and what kind of service model and standard do we want to be held to. And that's a huge discussion of ours, is every day trying to provide that to the residents and really have them walking away and saying, the city of Scottsdale really cares about me and cares about my concerns and is going to do everything in their power to solve those. So,
lastly, this is your freshman year. You guys are just getting started, but in the analysis so far, what are plans for your sophomore year? Any expansion plans, anything like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm always thinking about what we can do better and improve on. And so one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is our team is basically reactive, right? We see issues come into the city, we deal with them, we help resolve them. But one of the things I want this team to also do is also be proactive, right? And so look at what types of issues are coming into our city and thinking about ways that our city can solve issues so that those residents don't even have to complain to the city about what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that we have the ability to do, especially with the call center and Scottsdale EZ and Constituent Services. We have all this data here. And so being even more proactive on how the city can solve issues before they even arise. And so doing both at the same time. And I actually think we've started to do that a little bit. So when we look at where the cases are coming from, it really started with lots of cases coming straight from the city manager or from the city council. And now what we're seeing is that the majority of our cases, 60-70% of our cases each month, are coming from our departments. Right, so we've shifted away that those issues aren't even getting escalated to the city manager or city council, because we're really starting with it's just coming to the departments. My next step would be, hey, how can we think about some of those issues that we see on a regular basis, and let's solve them before they even have to complain about them. So I think that's really in an ideal world, that's where I'd like to go. I think as we make progress in the next year, that's where I hope to make improvement on.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being on today. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we go?
I would say the only thing is that it's been a pleasure working with our residents, and if you're listening to this and you've worked with us before, continue to come back to us, utilize us. That's what we're here for. It's been an excellent opportunity, and we're happy to help. So spread the word to your neighbors, to fellow residents that we're here to help, and let them know where they can reach us. And we look forward to working with you guys and solving whatever issues or concerns you have.
Wow, nice.
Thanks, guys.
That's all for this episode of Podsdale. If you enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe. You can find us on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app. Share episode ideas and provide your feedback by emailing communications@scottsdaleaz.gov. Thanks for listening.